Hey everyone, Citizen here. I'm going to be going through some filming techniques using Snow the Game's replay editor. It's going to be focused around using the game controller, and we're going to go through beginner and advanced techniques utilizing all the options that the replay editor gives us. I know that Petty77 has a mouse and keyboard focused tutorial out there, so definitely check that out if you're the M and K type. But still stick around for this because I may convert some of you over to the dark side. I'm using an Xbox 360 controller, but this will also work for the DualShock PS4 controller. Just keep in mind that I'll be referencing the 360 controller throughout this video. So like X would be square on the DualShock, etc. Okay, before we get into the replay editor, let's go over some of the controls quickly. Your trigger buttons are used to rewind and fast forward your replay. The bumper buttons are playback speed presets, so for example if you want to replay your run at 50% speed, there's an option to do that here. The joysticks are how you control your camera. The left stick is camera movement and the right stick is your camera rotation. The D-pad is used to scroll through menu options. The A button selects menu options. The B button is used to go back or exit the replay menu. The Y button is used to hide your HUD, so when you're ready to capture your clip, the menu overlay is invisible. And the X button detaches and locks your free cam into place. Okay, so let's set up a clip that we want to edit. I got a spawn point set up here in Infinity Park, and we're just going to hit this jump and then play around with it in Replay Editor and see what we can get. Alright, so 900 tail, not bad. We're going to go into hit pause, more options, and replay. So, this is the replay editor. This is where we're going to make all our changes and record our clip. Again, your trigger buttons are rewind and fast forward. You can see that it rewinds at 2 times speed up in the top right corner and fast forwards at 2 times speed. There's a trick to make this faster. If you want to rewind faster, hold the left trigger and the left bumper button and you'll see it'll bump it up to 4 times. Same with fast forwarding, right trigger, right bumper, 4 times. This is just so if you want to scrub through, go back a few minutes in time, it's just quicker to do that with this little trick. And replay editor goes back pretty far, so even if you did something a couple minutes ago and you want to check it out, you can do that. Okay, so at the making of this video, there's currently 3 camera options available to use. Again, this is early access beta game. They're updating it all the time. They've been working on this replay editor pretty hard with feedback from the community. So by the time you watch this, it may be different, but most of the techniques should be the same. So we got 3 camera options. We have our locked free cam, which we're in right now. As you can see, it rotates around the player at a fixed distance. And here in the menu, pause game, here's the little camera icon. This is where you go to change your camera. You got 3 settings. So first one, locked camera. Second one is first person. As you can see, you can move your head around. It's basically kind of GoPro style. And then the third option, hit it again. This is your detached camera, and we're going to hit X to detach it, and then you have full movement. You're basically the cameraman or a drone or kind of anything you want to be. You're detached from your guy, and you can play around with your clip as the camera. Okay, so let's take a look at the first camera option first. So with locked free cam, again, it rotates around the guy at a fixed distance. You can adjust this distance using the D-pad up and down. So I press down, goes further out, again at the same distance. Go in a little bit further. And I'm rotating the camera with the right joystick. So if we rewind a bit, let's set it to 1 times, which is normal speed. You can rotate it around while the clip is playing. So you can do it in real time. It'll make for some pretty cool shots. Let's try it again a bit closer. And I'm just rotating it around with the right joystick. And that's all there is to it. Pretty easy camera mode to get used to. We'll get into some more advanced stuff later on. So let's go into first person camera mode and see what we can do there. Again, just highlight the change camera icon. We're going to hit A, and now we're in first person mode. As you can see, you can look around with the right joystick. You're literally inside the guy's head, so that's what's going on here. Now we have the same camera controls as we did in the last one. Your triggers control rewind, fast forward, and your bumper buttons are speed presets. The cool thing about first person is that you can look around while the clip is running. So say if you want to get kind of a different angle, or like get the hands and skis in there as he's going off the jump, and then you'll be able to look around while you're in the air too. I want to check my tail. I want to go left a little bit, look up, look down. As you can see, it's a little bit disorienting when you're doing big spins. I find that this camera mode is best used for slow rotations and big gaps. So like if you're going off something in first person, you can look down and you get a better sense of height. Okay, so let's go into the third and final camera option, which we're going to spend a lot of time in, which is the detached free cam. So we're going to go to change camera icon again, hit A, and it's going to be your next option. Now it doesn't look like anything's different, kind of looks like first person, but as you can see, if I play the clip and rewind the clip, I'm actually detached from the player. So right now my camera is locked in place and the triggers control the scrubbing of the replay, but to unlock your free cam you hit X. So hit X, and then now I can move freely around. I have full control of the camera even while the clip is playing. So as you can see, I can move around freely and look at whatever I want, go wherever I want, even while the clip is playing. So it's separate from what's going on. And again, the detached camera mode, the triggers and some of the buttons are different than your replay mode. So as you can see, if my camera is locked in place, I can't move. I can rotate it around, but I can't move it in space. I can still control the clip, the speed of the clip. But if I hit X and detach it, now my trigger buttons, which would normally control the speed of the clip, are my Z axis. They move up and down. So if you combine forward and backwards movement with your Z axis, you can do some pretty cool shots with that. And then throw in some rotation as well. We'll get into some advanced stuff in a bit. Okay, so now that we have full control of the free cam, let's tweak some of the options to make filming this clip a little bit easier and frame the shot the way we want it. As you can see right now, if I play it out at normal speed, my camera settings are a little bit too sensitive to get the shot that we want. So let's make some tweaks to that. So what we're going to do is go to the Advanced tab, which is beside the camera icon. We're going to hit A. We'll come back to time of day later, but for right now we want to go right, go to camera controls. Now these sliders are pretty new, they were only implemented a couple weeks ago. Again, this is all a work in progress, but right now you can choose your field of view, rotation speed, and movement speed. Those are the three options that we want to change to get better control over the camera. So the field of view is your zoom level. The default is set to 90, as you can see on the right here. If you want to zoom in further, you want to lower your field of view. So let's go to something like 55. As you can see, I'm zoomed in a little bit more. Okay, so let's go back to camera controls, and we want to adjust our rotation speed and our movement speed. So how sensitive our looking around is, and how fast or slow our movement is for the camera. Now right now the sliders are a bit skewed. Again, this is kind of work in progress. They're changing this all the time, but your default numbers here, again 90 was the default field of view, 0.004 is your default rotation speed, and 0.2 is your default movement speed. Don't ask me why those are the defaults, they just are. So what I have is I have the default numbers and the console commands, which we'll get into in a minute, written down on a sheet of paper in front of me, so I always know that, oh, okay, my rotation speed is too sensitive. We gotta lower that sensitivity. So what's the default? Okay, 0.004. So we gotta go lower than 0.004 to slow down the rotation speed. Same with the camera movement. It's 0.2. It's too fast for what I want to do. I want to lower it. So what do I lower it from? I lower it from 0.2. If I want to speed it up, I go above 0.2. But as you can see, when I first tried to move around with this clip, the default settings were all too sensitive for what I wanted to do. So really, most of the time you're going to want to lower your rotation speed and lower your movement speed. So we're going to do that through console commands. Here are the 3 console commands that you need to know. These are the ones that I have written down in front of me. The field of view, rotation speed, and camera speed. And again, those are all the defaults. So what we're going to do is open up console, tilde key, which is the button next to the number 1 on your keyboard. And instead of typing out each console command, all we can do is it's a little shortcut. You type in CL, which is the beginning of each command, and hit tab. As you can see, there's a list of all the CL commands that are available to change. We're going to focus on these 3 right here: field of view, rotation speed, and camera detached speed. The rest of these aren't really of interest to us right now. So instead of typing out each time these commands, you type in CL, hit tab, brings up this list. To go through this list, just keep hitting tab. As you can see, it'll bring them all up, and then you can enter in your values pretty quickly. Just a little shortcut. So we want to go to field of view, which already is at 55. As you can see, we changed it in the sliders. It's also changed in the console and the system here. So that's fine. We want to hit tab again. It'll bring up our rotation speed. Again, we have the defaults here, 0.004. We want to lower that to, let's say, let's do that. And then we want to hit CL again, hit tab, hit it 3 times. It'll bring us to this, detached speed. This is your camera movement. It's at 0.2, which is too fast for us right now. I'm going to lower that to 0.03. Again, this is all trial and error. The odds are these settings aren't going to work either, but it's a matter of just making adjustments as you go. So let's get out of console. We're going to get out of this menu. I'm going to hit B, and now, as you can see, this is how fast my camera rotates, and this is how fast it moves. And if we combine the two, we kind of get some cool shots. Okay, so let's hide the heads-up display. We're going to hit Y, and we're going to hit X to lock our camera in place so we can control our guy. Hit X again, move our camera in place, lock it in. I'm going to rewind it a bit. Now I'm going to use the bumper buttons and set it to 50% speed. Hit it 3 times for 50% speed. Now I hit X to unlock my camera, and I got the left joystick to move it and the right stick to control the rotation. So let's make some more adjustments to that. I want to frame it a little bit better. Maybe we'll bump up our movement. It was a little bit slow. Another shortcut for console commands is just to hit the up arrow, and it'll go through your settings that you've entered in last. So our detached speed is what we want to edit. It's a bit too slow. Let's bump it up to 6. Okay, it's a bit better. Again, I'm going to play this at 50% speed and hit the bumper button 3 times. I'm going to hit X to unlock my camera. And we're going to just try and frame this a little bit better. And all I'm using is the 2 joysticks during that trick. Left one to move around, right one to look around. That's why I like using the gamepad, because it's just a very intuitive system for controlling the camera movements. You don't even really have to think about it. Let's get that clip a little bit better. Maybe we'll get closer. And all these shots, this is where your creativity comes into play. Once you have the camera settings you want, and you know how to control it, everything else is up to you. Okay, so that clip is pretty good, but say if you want to change the lighting, the time of day. Right now it's midday. It's a bit bright. Shadows are dark. This might look good at around sunset. It'll bring out the background mountains a bit more. So let's bring up our HUD again with Y. We're going to go to Advanced Options, hit A, and go down to the Time of Day slider. As you can see, it's set to 12, which is 12 in the afternoon. You can adjust it by 0.5, so by half an hour each time. So let's go to 17.5. We'll hit A. As you can see, the sunset makes it look a little bit more epic. The one downfall of doing this right now, this is a menu bug where you adjust time of day, it resets all your camera settings. But, see, as you can see, I'm looking around super fast. But if we want to reset all that, bring up our console, it's really easy. Just hit up on your keyboard and it'll bring up your last set of commands. So we just enter them again. So detach speed, rotation speed, and our field of view actually stayed the same, I think, at 55. But we'll just enter it again anyways. CL, tab, tab, field of view, 55. Yeah, it's set the same. Okay, so we got our time of day. Hit Y. Play the clip, unlock the camera. So this is a way to adjust your clips as well. If you think it's going to look better at a certain time of day, if you play this game quite a bit, like I do, you'll know that certain areas in the level look better at certain times of day. Infinity Park looks great at sunset because it kind of just drapes over that mountain there. But this is a way to adjust the time of day completely separate from the gameplay. So for example, let's just get out of this. Bring up our HUD with Y. We'll go back. And then we'll exit replay editor altogether. And as you can see, it's back to the time of day that we had before. So in replay editor, it's completely separate from when you're playing. So let's go back to the options. We're at 17.5. Right now we're in locked free cam. So let's go back and change that. Detached camera. Let's just hide the HUD because it's a mess right now. And bring up the console. Reset our camera settings. Alright, if we want to move around fast, I'll just do this. We can get into place quicker, and then we can go back to our regular setting. So, as you can see, there's lots of areas, unique areas that you can film at. We just ended up in these trees. Kind of looks like a cool spot to get the clip. So you can play around with like your foreground and your background placement as well. So I want to zoom in a little bit more here. Let's try field of view 25. And as you see, it's all trial and error. Let's get our in and out points a little bit better here. Maybe do something like this. And reveal the jump as he comes out. And then just kind of fade out through here in post. Something like that would look pretty cool. Okay, so the last features that we want to go over are the depth of field options. Depth of field controls what's in focus and what's not in focus. So let's go over to the advanced options. Let's lock our camera in place. Go over to advanced, scroll over to camera controls, and now these bottom three options are what we're going to be focusing on right now. The focus range, focus distance, and the blur amount. Now the focus range controls how far away objects are blurred. The focus distance controls where the center of the focus range is. And the blur amount is how blurry you want out of focus objects to be. It's a bit confusing at first, but what I like to do is picture depth of field as a bubble. The range controls the size of the bubble, and the distance controls where we place that bubble. So let's just play around with this first, the range. Let's set it to 1 and see what happens. Okay, so pretty much everything is blurred out. These values, 1, 3, 6, as they go up, they're essentially your range, whether it's in feet or meters, doesn't matter, just follow the numbers so you know how big the bubble is going to be. So let's try 36. As you can see, it brings these trees into focus. We'll go further. Let's go all the way up to 100. And we start to get the jump into focus. So now, what we want to do is reduce the blur just a little bit. Everything's a bit too blurry right now. Even our guy is too blurry. you see, brings it into focus a little bit more. Now what we want to do is adjust our field of view. I want to zoom in a little bit. Let's change it back to 25. And we're going to change the rotation speed and everything too, just so we can control this a little bit better. And as you zoom in, your camera controls become more sensitive. So controls that may have worked at 50% or 50 field of view are going to be too sensitive for 25 field of view. So I'm lowering them even further to control it even more. Alright, so there's my rotation, super slow. And my movement, super slow. So let's adjust those a little bit more. Okay, it's a little bit better. Now, as you can see, our guy is still out of focus. So let's go back in. So we're at 100. This is the max focus range we have at where we are in space right now. Obviously it's not far enough. So what we want to do, let's say we want to get these close trees blurred out. We want the jump in focus, but we also want that tree line and those mountains blurred out. So let's make that happen. Bring up our HUD, and now remember what I said when focus range is like your bubble of focus. The distance is where the center of that bubble is. So right now it's literally centered on us. So let's see what happens when we move this forward. Oh god. So let's reset time of day. You know, menu glitches, little bugs like this, early access, it's beta. As long as you have a little bit of patience, you can get through some of this stuff. So let's try this again. Let's move it out. There, you can see my guy is in focus. The tree's starting to get blurred out. See, this is too far. This is focusing way over there on that tree line. So we're gonna bring it back. I think 50 is about good. And now let's reduce the focus bubble a little bit so we get a better blur effect on these foreground trees. Maybe reduce the blur. Something like that is alright. Okay, let's get our controls back here. Okay. So, now we got a pretty cool shot set up. As you can see, these trees in front of me are out of focus, the foreground's out of focus. Jump is in focus, and that background is out of focus. So let's play around with this clip now with the depth of field. You see it focuses on the guy and everything else is kind of blurred out. Now I would make some adjustments to that clip. Maybe I'd start in here and kind of like peek out, or I'd go back even further and use field of view to zoom in farther. Again, this is where your creativity comes into play after learning how to control the camera. Okay, so let's briefly recap what we covered. We covered the lock-free camera. It's pretty straightforward. It rotates around the guy at a fixed distance. You can control camera speed and the zoom levels with the D-pad. The first-person camera, pretty straightforward again. You control the head movement. I would suggest using it for very specific clips. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. And we also went into detached free cam, which is kind of the main feature of Replay Editor. We learned how to detach our camera, move it around, rotate it, how to adjust those three settings, both in here and in the console settings. We also played around with depth of field, which controls what's in focus and what's not in focus, how to extend the range of the focus bubble, and how to control where to put that focus range, and the amount of depth of field blur that you want to put on your clip. So with all those options, I mean, you have full control of the camera in your hand, and everything else is up to you. It comes down to creativity. You know, I'm always blown away by people's edits. Even, you know, this jump I've hit 1,000,000 times, I've seen it 1,000,000 times, but some of the angles that people put on their shots kind of make it look brand new every single time. Another tip that I'll share with you guys is that I record all of my clips at 50% speed. This way I can control camera movement better than recording at full speed, so you get better shots. And if you want to bump it up to full speed, you can do that in post while you're editing. Essentially, you know, the clip is going to be at 100% when you load it into your editor. Bumping it up to 200% in theory will double the speed from 50%, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes clips look too fast. Sometimes the animations are a bit weird because they play out differently at slower speeds than faster speeds. Also, you want to keep in mind that any quick animations or any quick camera movements at lower speeds will be magnified if you bump them up to faster speeds in post. So you want super smooth filming if you're going to use this method. Filming at 50% is also better for slow-mo ramping. It gives the editor more frames to play with because you've already recorded it at half speed. So you bump it up to full speed and then ramp the slow-mo down and then ramp it back up. It's got all sorts of frames to play with, so you're not going to get choppy slow-mo, you're going to get smooth 60 FPS slow-mo. And everything that we went over, you can also use it for screenshots. You don't have to use it for a video. Say if you, let's try and get a screenshot out of this one too. So maybe something like that. Again, you have full control over your camera placement, field of view, depth of view, all sorts of stuff. So if you're more into photography and screenshots, Replay Editor is just as powerful for that as it is for video. And that's pretty much it. I hope this tutorial helps you out with your shots. I always look forward to watching everyone's edits. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter at CitizN'TV. You can also follow me on Twitch. I usually live stream this game, and I've even been getting into live editing streams as well. So if you're an edit junkie, you can come out, hang out and chat for a bit and talk editing. It's been pretty fun there. You can check out all my edits here on my YouTube channel as well, just to see kind of the finished product of all this hard work and why it's worth it. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.